Well, thank you so much for making time to join us this morning. We'll be with you for the next hour. We'll take your questions, your view, and comments as well. It's an exciting month because it's the month of June, and it means the Citi Business Festival. But this year, we're saying, make it Ghana. Patronize the Ghanaian goods, work with the Ghanaian companies. Let's expand and grow this beautiful country of ours. We'll be right back. Do stay with us. And you're welcome back to the Citi Business TV Forum. This month, we'll be having some great conversations around the digital economy. We'll be looking at SMEs. We'll be looking at agriculture as well as the retail industry and some many other areas. But today, we're starting with the digital economy. We're saying reimagine the digital economy. I've got a great team. We'll be having this conversation with me. They are well versed on the issues. They will seek to look at all the issues in that industry and the way forward for us as a country. So let me quickly introduce my guests for today for you to see the kind of gentlemen I'll be having today. I have Mr. Franklin Asari. He's the CEO of Tech Gulf. Franklin, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I have Mr. Horacio Nido, who is the head digital and emerging payments at ABSA. Horacio, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
I also have with me Mr. Benedict Bentil. He's a Senior Manager, Enterprise Marketing and Portfolio Management at MTN. Welcome, Benedict.
Thank you very much, Dave.
And then I have Andrew Techia-Pierre, who is the founder and CEO of ZPay. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be here.
Thank you for coming. We have just the men. I'm the only woman here. It would have been nice to have a fifth, a woman, but it's great to have you guys. I just want our viewers to know the kind of people we're speaking to today. So I'll just give each one of you just 30 seconds to talk about yourself, what you do, and we'll take it from there. So, Sari, let's start with you. I know that you are the boss at Tech Gulf, but for those who don't know, who is Mr. Sari and what is Tech Gulf about?
Thank you. My name is Franklin Asari. I'm an accountant. I'm ACC. I'm a fellow. I like to say that. But I'm in IT today because that's where the opportunities are. I'm a CEO of Tech Gulf now. Before then, I worked for Oracle for many years. I've been in IT doing this kind of thing for 25 years plus now.
We'll talk about your book, great book. I haven't slept yesterday because it's a great book. If you want to know everything about the digital economy in Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the world, this is the book to read. We'll talk a bit about it as we go along. But yesterday we had some great insights on that on the Citi Breakfast Show with Bernard. Okay, Horacio, tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Horacio Dodu with ABSA Bank. Currently managing the digital and emerging payment space. My key role has to do with churning out new solutions through partnerships or co-creating them. So, in a nutshell, that's who Horacio is.
Horacio, welcome. I want to say that Horacio works with ABSA, one of the greatest banks of our time, and they are partners to the Citi Business Festival for today. So, thank you so much for joining. Another great sponsor we have, Benedict. You tell us more about himself. He's with MTN.
Yes, Benedict Bentil. I'm with the Enterprise Business Division. And basically, we provide solutions for SMEs, large corporates, multinationals within the business space.
Okay, Benedict. Andrew doesn't need an introduction, but I'll let you do the introduction. Andrew, tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you again. I was in banking for 20 years. I'm from a line of bankers. About 7-8 years ago, I moved into fintech, which I think was a natural transition because I used to be a transaction banker. What I do today, I disrupt mobile money using remittances.
Benedict's not happy about that. Well, we'll look at that later. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It will be a great conversation. We'll introduce the phone lines as we go along, and so you can send your questions and comments and all that. Remember, this year's edition of the Business Festival is partnered by ABSA, proudly also brought to you by Citi TV and Citi FM, with a sponsorship from MTN as well as Gersel. And to all of you watching us, welcome again. So, gentlemen, digital economy, for somebody sitting somewhere who is not into your space, I want you to explain to us what we mean by digital economy. Somebody will say digital economy, anything around the internet, anything about technology, and all that is all in there. But really, what is digital economy in a layman's, idea? Any of you can go.
Can I?
Oh, okay.
Andrew, okay, Horacio, you want to start?
I would say digital economy is any business activity that's happening online. And that's to make it as simple as it can be. I view it more from a traditional versus digital angle. Traditional is what we are used to, the brick and mortar, the cash society. But the digital economy is moving more to the cashless and also the online realm. So for me, that would be my definition for digital economy.
So basically, if I use my phone now, I order an Uber, I'm in the digital space, economy space.
Yeah.
If I want to buy this beautiful dress, I'm in that space.
Simple.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're getting there.
Well, you see, just to comment,
Yeah.
I just want our audience to reimagine this. So there's so much cliche about digital economy.
Yeah.
But the digital economy, think about it as billions of activities happening, not just transactions. Yes, Horacio is from a bank, so fair enough. Not just transactions, but different activities, different considerations with multi-players. Then see the players that co-create the digital economy as persons or businesses that have reimagined a world outside the physical. So if you take Uber, today Uber is the world's largest taxi cab, whether we like it or not. And it hasn't got a single taxi cab.
Yeah.
It just has infrastructure because they reimagined the way we live. If you look at Airbnb arguably is probably the largest real estate for hotels and accommodation.
Yeah.
They've reimagined the way we live and we do it online. Take ZPay. ZPay is probably
You had to wrap in the ZPay.
Well, I mean, if I'm on the platform, but not
Yeah.
because of that. But well, arguably probably Africa's largest remittance platform.
Great.
And we don't have a single agent point or app. That's the digital economy. And our ability to make the digital economy happen, I guess, will be some of the things we'll be talking about.
Yeah, we'll do that. So another interesting insight brought in, so the payments bit, looking at things that we never
Everything.
thought could happen, brick and mortar now. It's like somebody say the white one's magic, this whole thing, we'll look at that. But from your side, what are we looking at? We know mobile money.
Yes, of
another
course.
interesting, but you can add on.
Yes, great inputs from both sides, but we need to also look at the entire ecosystem. Like Andrew mentioned, there are multiple players within the industry, from logistics to connectivity to infrastructure, and I think you find that in the book. The various layers that contribute to the digital economy cannot be just limited to the transactions. All these would ride on connectivity and the infrastructure, the applications, all the agents. And let's not forget people in the digital economy. The people are a very key component of it.
Which is why I bring in Frank, because he has spoken about the need for the people and the skills, and he has this interesting diagram he has on board.
But I want to prefer a definition of the digital economy.
Sure.
Okay.
For this festival in particular.
Sure.
Right.
In my view, a digital economy is the production of goods and services using digital technologies, and it's available in my book, page number 3. And that allows businesses to move on to these online platforms, and they may be cloud, they may be social, they may be mobilitics, they may be Internet of Things, they may be AI, and of course the Internet.
Yeah.
And these are the platforms that allow the conversation, the digital conversation to go on. So that embraces that definition. And the examples the panelists have given are all very good examples of where digital economy is occurring. And I just hope that there will be more examples of that in our part of the world.
Yeah, I want us to stay in our part of the world because this is geared towards the Ghanaian business. Of course, we can rope in the African business and all that because now we all are in the global space. You can't limit yourself to just your country. So let's look at our digital economy as a country. Where are we? Where have we gotten to? You look at the likes of Denmark, US, UK, and they're doing great things. We're all worried about this AI thing, where we'll get to that point. But as a country, we have challenges with access, with cost, infrastructure, all that. Where are we?
Well, look, I think it's not a case of where we are, but I think it's a case of where do we go from here. I believe we started building the digital economy. Maybe it started in the fintech revolution. There's been a few logistics conversations, right? But I'm not even going to talk about enablers from a policy perspective. Let's talk about enablers from IoT.
Okay.
And I'm telling
you. Break the words. What is IoT?
IoT is Internet of Things. Our ability to leverage the internet to get these billions of activities to happen. At the cusp of cost going down of IoT equipment, it's even going to be much cheaper for this digital economy to lift up.
Yeah.
We are at the point in our market, Ghana specifically, where I think the enabling conversation is availability of IoT platforms. Yeah. I think MTN has done a wonderful job. I mean, respectfully, you've got to give credit where it's due. MTN has done a wonderful job. Vodafone did some part of it. They're still on that journey. Then we need to also start to look at the likes of fulfillment, because you cannot have a digital economy without fulfillment. You're probably wondering what is fulfillment. Fulfillment is the reason why you're able to buy on Amazon and you receive your goods, because the back end is that infrastructure, which includes human beings and logistics to bring it to your doorstep, right? So if you look at fulfillment, Global came into our market, they did a wonderful job on fulfillment. It will be great that local entities that also understand the local economy would also come up with fulfillment platforms to join what Global has done. It will be good that we have a certain nationalistic pride that says that for the first time, we're also going to lift local companies up and give them those opportunities and then teach them that efficiency to get to the destination, right? I also think that some of the enabling conversations is the fact that we desperately need to redefine what a startup. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Our parts of the world, you can't even get a bank loan, let alone get private equity support you. But if we start to redefine the startup conversation, then maybe even banks will start to look at startups differently and therefore give them that handholding to support them so that they have the resources to support the infrastructure. You understand? So I think from a digital economy perspective, where are we going is a conversation. Okay. Because we've done something. Clearly we've done something. Then I think also maybe, and I'm talking to private sector, not even government, maybe the schools need to start embracing entrepreneurship 101 so that we start to teach. I have a very good friend. She spends a lot of her time on antique platforms, looking at different antiques. I didn't even know the world of antique was such an exciting thing. But there are antiques in Ghana. People offload furniture. People offload different things. These are marketplaces. Do you understand? That's why I started by look at how they've reimagined the world. Uber. Look at how Facebook has reimagined the world. The largest media platform has no content, and that's Facebook. In fact, today I think they own Instagram. So they have multi-layer platform. If you come to Africa, WhatsApp is even considered a social media, right? So it's really how we also bring that to the classroom so that reimagination would happen.
So you want us to move, go with it. Time is going.
And I'm not even talking about government. I'm not talking about policy.
Us.
Just the private sector. So if you have a school and you can hear my voice, can you bring entrepreneurship 101 into this conversation from a digital economy perspective? You know what I mean? Then ideation. How do we start to take ideation so serious that when people have ideas, we don't just brush it aside. But then we say, look, how do we make manifest this? So I think it's really where we're going from this journey we've come to.
Okay, let me bring you Benedict in. Where we're going, you guys have done great with the mobile money thing. Great infrastructure you're developing across and all that. From where Andrew lives, continue from there, what you think we can do in terms of moving to the next level? The world is gone.
Okay, so I think we all recognize that we experienced a brief acceleration during the COVID period, but it's not to trick ourselves into thinking we are there. There's still a lot of work to be done. There are components of the digital economy that are still in the infantry stage, and then others are far advanced. So, for example, the trust ecosystem, that loans issue, getting people facilities, we are just turning the curve on getting digital addresses. So that contributes to allowing people to access those kind of facilities. Other things like maybe security and building the necessary infrastructure that make people trust the digital economy. And then you move into educating people on how to transition into full digital adoption. But where we are is on a fast pace, and I believe we need to keep driving it and not fall behind. The world has advanced, but in the context of Africa, I think we are doing quite well, but there's still some work to be done. In the space of MTN, like he mentioned WhatsApp, we have a social media, not a social media, a super app that has about 2 million subscribers. From that base, what can be done for those people, their transactions over the internet, all their interactions with retail and logistics, services. Largely, I think retail has done well when it comes to the digital economy, but there are still a lot of services that need to come on board. We are not going to deceive ourselves into thinking we are there. The journey is still long, and we still need to accelerate to get there.
Okay, let's look at the banking side in terms of inroads made. What are we seeing for our country?
I think the banks have acknowledged that the digital economy is the way to go. In my earlier submission, I did mention the brick and mortar versus the online space. You would realize that almost all the banks, if not all actually, in Ghana do have some form of a digital solution out there for customers. They've acknowledged the fact that the economy is changing and they need to also change accordingly. From an ABSA perspective, we've acknowledged this in partnership with almost all the players here, or panelists here. We've changed solutions that basically help the ecosystem, and that's the way we believe we can grow. Leveraging on the partnerships, co-creating solutions, coming up with smart ways of working, I think is the way to go. And from a banking perspective, that's the way we've acknowledged that digital economy is come to stay, and we're moving accordingly.
Okay, Franklin.
Interesting conversation. I would have loved to start from what framework allows us to have a digital economy in the first place. I think to have a digital economy, as we talk about in our book, you have to start with the basic level of skills. Then assess where we are with skills as a country. And we've done something, there's still room for improvement. Then there's a layer called infrastructure, which is key, storage. Where are we?
Yeah.
Most of the storage platforms at the moment are foreign owned. I think it would be nice if they are locally owned by Ghanaians just like us, because that is a game changer in that space.
Are we finding it challenging to have the Ghanaians take over that?
Yes, because the finance required, the money required, the funding required is quite high.
Okay.
And if you're a billionaire, it's not easy to be a Ghanaian. Because if you want to build a heavy data center, you're talking millions of 100 million, 200, 300 million, depending on the size. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to play with our local banks, if you're hearing us.
So the capital is quite on the high side.
Exactly. And we need to get in, and we need to get in now, because if we don't, we lose. And I think the partnerships with MTN and some of the local players. Then we talk about connectivity. Whether we like it or not, the players change in connectivity. You need to go satellite to be able to lower the cost. So we have to pray Elon Musk into submission and become a Ghanaian. Make sure he has
But that is not happening.
We can pray in this country, so everything is possible. So I take that seriously. And then another thing we also need to look at is the regulatory framework. For example, data sovereignty and data privacy rules need to be enforced to allow the Ghanaians to be able to save on the local platforms, because most of us will have phones here. The data is residing outside. And the ability to use that data resides with U.S. companies and the permissions also. I don't say U.S. alone. Some of them, TikTok is in China and all of these other things. If we are to play seriously, some of these things, using regulation, using funding support, need to be brought into the country to help us. Then my colleague here talked about e-commerce enablement. We talked about fulfillment. That is a key area. We need to make sure we can use all these, in the UK, they can use drones, that kind of thing, to drop something. I don't know what will happen in Ghana if you see a parcel coming. somebody might just take it if it's not theirs.
Well, we have the likes of Zipline and things.
Oh, I know.
Working
Blood,
on
maybe
that.
they won't
Yeah.
touch, but it's a nice
I've had things in my touch, actually.
iPhone line down.
The thing we used to have when we were kids.
A catapult.
Catapult.
Absolutely. But all of these things are features of the digital economy that we need to allow to work in there. And then entrepreneurship. Now, I'm known in this country for entrepreneurs. It's my greatest passion. At Oracle, we did something called the Ghana Oracle Digital Enterprise Program, where we raise startups. So I've been having this conversation for about 5 years. I believe that Africa's greatest talent for startups are right here in Ghana. And I believe that when it comes to independence, Ghana was the first country to become independent in Africa. In the digital area, the digital entrepreneurs coming out of Africa will be the first and the finest. They just need the skills to enable. I mean, we're on live, I don't want to mention names. But we really have some good startups in this country. They just need support. If you want $50,000 to support your business, I mean, you have to give them everything, including your grandmother's name, if you still remember it. That kind of thing. The banks need to change. We need venture capital. And to be able to help us, we need mentoring. I found that most of the startups here, they just need a mentoring. Some people will still be in bed at this time. You just need to call them to wake up to go and produce the goods and services. So we have a problem here, and we need to do it well. Financial inclusion, and I know I have MTN here in terms of mobile money, etc. We need to make sure we spread the platforms across. People are using it, mobile money, and the other platforms as well. I need to give them credit for what they're doing. So there's a lot to discuss. But I think that one of the reasons why we wrote this book is that I've been having this conversation with Bernard since 2016.
Yeah.
There are no parameters. There's no framework for you to go and say that this is where you are. So one of the things we're doing as an extension to this book is to be able to measure as an index the maturity of a digital economy. Okay. For example, if you look at where we are as far as, if you read the book, as far as integration is concerned, we have done a lot in interoperability, and we can talk about it. But the other areas are porous. They are not working. If you get to databases, they are not working, they are not talking. I mean, there are certain hospitals that remain nameless. If you want to do a scan, it's easier to use your phone and pass it to the doctor. Yeah. And it's happening to Ghana now, in Ghana right now, than to actually go through the proper MRI process for the doctor to access it through a laptop that is connected to their network. All of these things need to change. So I think it's about time we had a serious conversation. And back to your team, reimagining the digital economy.
How do we correct this? The porosity we're seeing, everything all over the place.
Because we are building it like village houses. That's how we've done things. There's no framework. There's no plan. The digital economy has to be architected. That's the point of the book.
We have to be deliberate.
Absolutely.
I actually want to take a quick departure from everybody's platform. Yeah. Let's go into a free-form conversation, right? So, and that's why I didn't want to touch regulation initially, right? I think that I agree with it, frankly. We need frameworks. We need social contracts. Social contract if it's AI. We need social contract if it's a certain type of behaviors that will drive a certain conversation. But the first thing we need is for the first time as a country to say it's not going to be partisan. It's not going to be alignment to a certain party or certain people or persons. And just put the right caliber of people on the table and let's say we're going to think through first, come up with discussion papers and open it up and get ecosystems involved. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the first layer. Otherwise, I can tell you we're building a digital economy framework. I can tell you that. I'm sure there's something going on, right? But I'm sure, even frankly, maybe he's not on it, maybe he's on it. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. We need to just dehumanize ourselves and not be emotional for the first time and say that for the sake of the vision that is 100 years ahead of us, we're going to call people who understand and are built. You see, you can't, but when it comes to policy, that's why we have the concept of grandfathering, right? Businesses will exist, then we develop policies or regulations and bring them on board. So we grandfather them in because they existed before. The point I'm making is that if you haven't built something, you cannot design a policy that will drive it.
Drive it, that's right.
Bring the guys who have built it. Do you understand me? Bring them into the ecosystem. Bring them to the room.
But are there no discussions of that sort among the ecosystem that you're aware of?
Well,
Andrew looks like he's not aware.
I think,
frankly, are you aware of that? No?
No, I think in this digital age, if these things are there, they will be online. We should be able to find them.
Well, there is, but the question is, you asked a good question. Is Franklin aware?
Yeah.
Maybe not, right? Am I aware? Maybe, maybe not. The point, I think what we might have missed, I was trying to say, because we're on TV as well,
Yeah.
right? But the point is, we just need to take all of that out, the things I mentioned before, and put a call out
Yeah.
and say, all players, those who have built, those who are going to build,
Come
those who
on
have
board.
studied, come on board. Let's have open discussions first of what we think the digital economy should look like.
Look like in the next
That
5 years, in
reimagining.
the
You
next
see,
10 years.
the idea of reimagining is very necessary, that word, because if you don't reimagine it, you can't build it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we mean in our world when we say you've got to be able to disrupt yourself, right? So let's take Fido, wonderful platform. When Fido started talking about loans on wallet, I'm sure banks didn't think it was going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Today, if you come to Ghana, the Bread Kim 4.0 bank, we built it. I always say this. You can get a loan on a wallet. You can get your remittance on the wallet. You can get your payments done on the wallet.
account.
You can open an instant wallet, which is still a bank account. It's interoperable, so it can access the entire ecosystem. It can validate. It can use the addressing system. It can use everything. We built the infrastructure independently and co-created, right? The same way, we have to start asking ourselves, what do we want the digital economy to look like? The infrastructure that Franklin talked about, we need that. The connectivity. When we now define the connectivity principles, then we say, okay, these guys can do maybe 1.0. These guys can do 2.0. These guys can do 4.0. We open it up so all players come into play.
Yeah.
Because in the ecosystem, the need state will never be the same. Even in the world of finance, I'm sure Horacio will tell you, no one single entity has the same need as the other from a financing need. The same with ecosystem. Some guy will say, you know what, I'll play low. Some guys say, I'll play high. Then beyond that, we now need to also define at the national state level, where do we want the digital economy to be? I keep talking about open APIs at government level. We've been struggling from the days of Kwame Nkrumah to build a local government system that will be efficient and will work. Maybe we just need to build open APIs.
Yeah.
You understand? And put it into this digital. So you see, you have to enable a digital economy. When you see your private sector has pushed it, then you come in and say, you know what? Because they've pushed it, we are going to take it to the next level. I challenge our lawmakers. Do they even understand this conversation we're having? So that if a minister came in and said, this is our blueprint, they can take them on. This is the things we need to do.
Well,
This
which is
the-
another question. Usually with your area, you move ahead of everybody and people now need to catch up. And I don't know the current regulations and policies we have to guide us as we go along.
Well, financial services there is, but I don't know about the
So
rest.
I think the panel here has some of the best regulators.
That's
Okay.
also true.
So BOG, SEC on our side is probably NCA, data protection. I think it's quite laudable on that side. But to the discussion that needs to be had between the private sector and the public sector. Like Franklin mentioned, it's still kind of village houses, silo operations. We had a CTIO forum, and out of that, we were able to build a network where NITA was involved, and heads of banks, those who are driving innovation in the banks, those who are driving innovation, fintech. If these leaders now form that network, then the government partners with this group of people, and we, as a collective, decide where do we want to go from here. Ghana was the second fastest grower when it comes to digital maturity, but it's relative because we started from something, almost mediocre. But if that pace is at risk if we are not collaborating between the private sector and the government. And as much as the regulators are doing a good job regulating, probably they also need to kind of push or lead the discussion when it comes to what's next and how do we regulate for what's next. And as we continue to innovate, because we will, all the panelists here, we will, he will also give us ideas to keep, driving, bringing on new solutions. We cannot wait for anybody probably to drive it. We will drive it, but we need to do it together as a collective. Otherwise, we will not have that definition for where we want to go.
Right.
I would add from a people perspective, what are the individuals doing themselves to be part of this digital economy? I think that's an area that really needs to also be paid attention to. As much as we're building the frameworks, we're enabling platforms and all, as a person, how am I also growing? And I think that's a conversation that possibly we can have in the future. But it's an area that I believe with the right skill sets, with the right platforms, possibly courses here and there, and entrepreneurial mindsets and all, we can definitely be part of this conversation. So yes, I support all the things that they
Franklin.
It's a difficult one. I think the journey to imagination has not even begun for us.
I agree.
And I think reimagination is almost about 60, 70 years away from that point of imagination for us.
Wow.
Because up until this point, we are third world.
Well,
Third world. Yeah, we are in the industrial era. Are we going to sit down and allow in the digital era for that same derogatory label to be placed upon us? So I think out of forums like this, a project team should be set up. That's what he's
right,
talking
a call
about.
to action.
Yeah, call to
basically.
action.
Some of us, we don't know a lot, but a little bit we have. Take it from us and allow us to have a conversation which is more of a collaboration and open up opportunities for so many people, including our country. And for me, that's what worries me, because it is very difficult to have this conversation without getting political.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You touch on it.
Yeah.
There's an article I've been trying to write over the weekend, and you have to wait again. So you have to be very careful. Very, very, very careful. But the point is that if we have a scorecard, we haven't passed.
But Franklin, I agree with Franklin. But my burden is, we desperately need to move away from what the politicians will think, because it's our nation, it's our children. We need to get ready for this. It's audacious to say this, but we just need to get ready and not worry about the politicians. Like I said, I challenge the lawmakers. I didn't even challenge political appointees. I just challenge lawmakers, because at the end of the day, whatever frameworks and policies we put together, as it becomes constitutional, it's going to go through Parliament. They need to go understand what the digital economy is. They need to understand what they are doing to hurt the very country that has elected them to be lawmakers. I also agree that what Franklin is saying is, you have to be careful you don't nerve somebody. But whatever we do, we'll have to. Because if there's the one thing that democratized us in Africa, and I'm into technology, so I know what I'm saying. Yeah. It is what? It's technology. Yeah. It leapfrogged us right in front of the fourth revolution. Today, when we go into forums, fora, whatever, we have our voice. It's heard. Mm-hmm. Do you understand me? Yeah. And consistently we prove that. I always tell my friend, the bankers, that very few fintechs are profitable in the world. And I like to say we're one of them. Mm-hmm. And that pride is the fact that technology, Africa, the knowledge, the skills, that everything put us in the forefront. Mm-hmm. So whether this boy thinks that way, it doesn't matter to us. So what Franklin is saying has scared me. If we're in the third world, then we need to challenge them to rise and do what we need them to do. And I'm asking them to listen to us, because we have built. They haven't built. We've elected them to drive policy for us, to enable for us. So they need to listen to us, whether we're employees, whether we are founders, whether we're entrepreneurs. Because if we don't do that, we're about to remortgage the leverage we have again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kenya has done it. If you go to Kenya and you talk about fintech startups, all of that, it's foreigners that have built it. Yeah. We've been blessed. Yeah. We've been blessed, maybe thanks to Bank of Ghana and the likes of Kwame Appiah, everybody who came from the ecosystem protecting it, right? But what's about to happen to us? Yeah. So it's real. And let's just have the conversation.
Right. Right, Franklin, you come in because
he's spoken passionately, my brother.
Yeah, very passionate about the issue.
I don't think we are giving enough of, let me call it, respect for our own entrepreneurs. Yeah. I haven't seen you for a while, but you, for example, you've done phenomenally good. Yeah. And we need to be able to celebrate you as a Ghanaian and as a technology enthusiast in what you bring in, and allow you to sit on these platforms and have this conversation. And there are many more like you out there who are not
That's
on this
true.
panel now.
That's
And
true.
I think we need to have to start that conversation right now. Because when you talk about digital leadership, and that's why I thank God we talk about digital leadership, there are leaders here who have done things who they are proud of.
Yes, of course.
And the rest of Africa, look at what he's talking about. All over Africa, he's celebrated. Yet he sits on this program and we are not serving him tea or coffee.
I think I have water. It's branded.
You wanted to have water, don't do that.
Yeah, but you have to add in the humor.
I
think there
Of
are
course,
others
we know what you
that
mean.
we need to celebrate. But the point is that something needs to be done. And,
I agree.
And I concur.
And I agree that it's platforms like this. Citi, you've done wonderful. Maybe your next call to action is we're creating the digital economy. We're calling the co-creators to come, both public and private sector. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because as we build, we get different experiences. I'm not even talking about code. I'm talking about governance. I'm talking about infrastructure. When you see a book like this, and for the first time, we've got a book that is coming from our part of the world with diagrams and definitions of things from our own perspective. It's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
If you do not understand, it is. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even about celebration. It's about just coming to terms with that. I hear His Excellency Baumia, the Vice President, talk about digitalization a lot. We need to have digital products that will sit on the digitalization. So we'll digitalize house addresses, right? But what about the compliance framework that would enable us be able to take it to the next level so we can do validations on these things, so we can do confirmations on these things? Do you see what I mean? So as I always tell his office, we need a hand-holding program. It's a joint activity. It's a joint activity.
Great. So apart from the discussions that we need to have between private sector and public and the government, lawmakers and all that, they are watching and they are hearing you. I'm sure by the time you get off, people will call you for us to move it to the next level. But as businesses, as individuals and all that, what roles can we also play to move this to that level that we are all looking at, the disruption proper?
Well, look, I wouldn't even use the word disruption. To just take it to the next evolution. So when I'm on a common platform, I don't like to talk about myself. I just think it's not fair. But what is our contribution? As a company, our board has approved. We're partnering with University of Ghana. We're just about to open an innovation center at the business school. It's literally done. We're just filling it with furniture. I keep telling my colleagues, let's just allow ideation to become value. Don't come up with all the 6 and the 20 principles. I don't even know these things. Just hear people with their ideas and give them that support to take to the next level. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know MTN is starting something. Broken ground is wonderful. We were the first to come to that. ABSA is doing something wonderful. Franklin is here. I'm going to reach out to him. Join the platform. Come on our platform we've created.
What is this? Tell us a bit more about
we
that.
created an innovation center on campus because if there's
This
any
is
place,
University of Ghana.
Yes, if there's any place that ideas are sitting, it's University of Ghana campus or other university campuses, not to be biased. Because look, I look around. Every time I look around, I say this: the money is not in the ground. It's not the galamsey. The money is above the ground. The ideas that we can convert and digitalize. The ideas that we can reimagine and turn into wonderful things without even just copying what exists. Because that's another thing we do. We go and copy something that exists in another environment. We have homegrown challenges that we can turn to solutions. We need to teach ourselves problem solving. Because if you don't solve a problem, you don't grow. Uber, I always tell people, Uber actually didn't do great. All they did was to solve a problem in the transport system. There was a major problem in the transport system. Uber came and solved it. Of course, they went through their own teething challenges from regulators, but eventually everybody realized that that's the answer. Today, all of us, when we travel, we don't worry about if I'll get a cab. We know we'll get an Uber. In fact, you're very disrupted when you get to an airport and you didn't know that that country doesn't have Uber. Because the first thing that comes to your mind is Uber. Do you see what I'm saying? So the same thing, if you look at even Airbnb, we talked about Airbnb. Today, people can go and afford to stay in a hotel that is not necessarily a hotel because of Airbnb. We have such things in our environment. Did you understand me? We have such things in our environment. Even simple things as recruitment. Imagine a platform where you can just load your CV and it's categorized using technology so that if a recruiter like ABSA is looking for tech people with 20 years this experience, can press a button and pay with a wallet.
Right.
Did you see what I mean? But we are not being thought to reimagine. That is the idea of being able to stand behind and reimagine how I can turn this in. We're in many homes today. This program will be watched all over the world, I'm sure. Because somebody reimagined YouTube. You understand me? Then the other thing is we need to move away from social validation to social capital. We don't think from a social capital perspective. That's why even if you look at our lawmakers, look at our politicians, it's all about social validation. If they start to think from social capital, they will do more because they will realize that we are their social capital.
That's right. Right. I want that question to go around because it comes back to us, what we can do to move it, what the business can want, an individual and all that, the reimagination bit. But I have to take a quick break. When I come, I'll move around the table. This is the Citi Business Festival TV Forum. I'm here with some great guys. We're talking about the digital economy. We're hoping that by the time we live here, our mindsets will change. We'll do the right thing to move the economy to that next level and compete likewise anywhere. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
My name is Francisca Schroeder. Fobaska Enterprise is the name of my company. Fobaska deals with stationery items. The stationery business is a broad business and it will take a lot of money. There was not enough funds to run the business. When I was a student, I was banking with Barclays, now ABSA. My personal banker just called me one day, Fobaska, can we help you? I said, okay. He came to my shop. After checking my turnover, I was entitled for some money. I will encourage other entrepreneurs to join the ABSA Young African Works program so that they can get the training and benefit from the facility so that it will take them to the next level. ABSA, Aiku, ABSA, Medase, you've taken me to the next level.
And you're still watching the Citi Business TV Forum. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, I'm here with four great guys. I have Franklin Asari, he's the CEO of TechGolf. I have Benedict Bentil, Senior Manager, Enterprise Marketing and Portfolio Management at MTN. I have Horatio Nidodu, he's the Head Digital and Emerging Payments for ABSA. And I also have with me Andrew Techia, Founder, CEO of ZPay. We're having some great insights, but I know you want to contribute. The WhatsApp line to do that is 020-444-7033. That is 020-444-7033. Also, you can send us a message via Twitter or Facebook on Citi 97.3 FM. Now, this year's Business Festival is sponsored by MTN Momo, MTN Business, as well as ZPay, and supported by Gersel. But our partner for this year, and always has been, is ABSA Bank. Thank you so much for joining us again for this year. So, gentlemen, well, we had conversations around the collaboration. whoever is supposed to ensure the collaboration is watching. But I want us to now move it to the next level of among us as businesses, as individuals and all that, what we can do in terms of skills and whether we even have it. Because this reimagination, you should have some bit of understanding of what you're doing, what you want to move, the whole conversation to and all that. Yes. So Andrew has spoken passionately about it. Yes. I'll allow the three of you to take it from there in terms of how we can do that.
Okay. So on MTN side, albeit less passionately, I think as we move along, everybody has seen where MTN is moving from a telco to a technology company or a techco. And that's because we saw the direction in which the world was going, and we want to stay ahead of the curve. Now, aside what Andrew mentioned in terms of the ICT hub that we set up, we're also looking at investments into, I think we are set to exceed the $1 billion investment into connectivity. Now, that is the infrastructure side of it. But the infrastructure is just about maybe less than 10% of the conversation when it comes to the digital economy. So we are also looking at solutions on top of that, converged services, cloud services, applications. And I think Franklin mentioned the data center infrastructure as well. Although all the telcos have that data center co-location capability, like he said, it's still a small portion of what the stack should be. So we need the applications that will sit on that, policies, governance, all these things that make it then a seamless experience for somebody to do a transaction here and it reflects in his house or wherever that is. So MTN is moving along that tangent. We are trying to partner, developers, innovation leaders to come to the market with these kind of, solutions that help businesses, help people to basically access basic digital, transactions and digital experiences. Now, if you move from what we are doing in the space of Ghana and you concentrate on maybe Africa, there's the conversation to be had about our position in terms of maybe internet costs. Ghana would be the cheapest in West Africa, but we are fourth cheapest in South Africa. There's the opportunity to make...
the current one that we are crying about is the cheapest?
Yes.
Really?
And but there's still the opportunity to make it cheaper if we invest more, if we partner with our regulators, the government, to make things more accessible for people. And then you move into probably things like the growth of the digital space as a whole. We cannot do it, unfortunately, we cannot do it without the government to an extent. But where there's a reliance on the regulator, we work with the regulator. But where we can actually drive the innovation ourselves, nothing stops us as private sector people from driving that innovation and then coming to the government and saying, hey, this is what we've done. You can play ball, you can come and help us, or you can still watch us as we continue to innovate. But it's still a partnership-driven discussion. And from our side, like I mentioned, apart from all the investments we've done, we are still looking out to partner innovators and the tech startups. Again, we redefine the startup.
Yeah.
But then people who have great ideas that can help the space. MTN doesn't shut our doors to those kind of conversations.
So they are watching. Give them an example of the kind of people that can come towards you.
So, for example, we currently have an API marketplace where there are APIs available that any developer can access to make their application. For example, APSA wants to maybe verify people's mobile information. There's an API right now that they can just, within a second, if the customer confirms permission, they can check your details and validate you. And these are the type of handshakes that Andrew was talking about when he said the government needs to have those kind of open APIs where people can instantly maybe submit a request to the passport office or whatever. So those kind of partnerships, anybody or any organization who is developing those kind of solutions that can in the end help the customer experience or help people in their digital experience, we are looking to partner them as well. And then, of course, what we have within our space, all the services within the digital ecosystem, the mobile advertising, the open APIs, the converged services, all those things are there to help feed this journey. But again, it goes back to the people. We need to actively change the mindset of our people and actually help them adopt this, because some countries are turning off 2G right now. I think some have even turned off, if I'm not mistaken. Others are turning off 3G. And we are still, riding on 2G and 3G. Now, if people don't move to the smartphone space, first of all, and then even adopt how to use the smartphone well, once you switch off 2G, you lose all the YAM phones, okay?
Yeah.
And until we bring our people along,
yeah.
yes, there's still going to be that gap. So we'll continue to invest in that journey, help people.
But how do we do that? Looking at the reality of where we are in terms of development, my grandmother in the village somewhere cannot even properly use a smartphone. She can work just a phone call with a YAM phone. That's the reality. And in the next 10 years that she's still alive, is what it is.
I'm begging to come on.
Please come in.
And I just want to say this, right? Let's remember that in the digital economy, all players are infrastructure.
Okay.
Yep.
If you are not positioned as infrastructure, you can't play the digital economy. What do I mean by infrastructure? Something everybody leverages or uses. You understand that? So, for example, Amazon is an infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's a marketplace where you go to play. Look at the number of SMEs in this market. They're huge. It's on 70 to 80% of our economy.
That's right.
Can we start building marketplaces? We can. Do we know how to? Yes and no. Part of it is this ideation conversation. Part of this is this connectivity conversation. Part of this is entrepreneurship conversation at the schools or even at the innovation centers. But what I just wanted to say, which was a question you asked, is maybe the time has come also for the banks to have a new thought process. It's called the consortium partners, right? He talked about smartphone transitioning or feature phone transitioning. Think about it carefully. We can make phones as cheap as $20, which is a smartphone. It'll be valid and useful for maybe 12 months, but it's okay. Because by the time I'm in month 9, I'd have got another $100, I can buy a better one. But you need consortium partners. One comes and says, I'll be the chip provider. One comes and says, I'll be the plastic mold maker. One comes and says, I'll provide the backbone that will feed into it. Then the consortium bank comes in and says, we are 3 banks, we're going to bet risk on you because it makes sense. And we give you an ironclad contract that says that if you are messing up to fund your lifestyle, we will take over. So you are waking up to that. And then that conversation goes into the boardroom. In the UK, my company is also in the UK, so someone will say this. In the UK, we're talking about diversity. That then becomes a conversation that goes into the boardroom, right? Where we now have diversity in the boardroom. So we're starting to think about people who see that angle of growth rather than just focused on build your business first, then we'll come and be part of it. I must say, Absa is not like that, though.
All right. So,
just in wrapping up, I think the culture also needs to shift. I think we've all seen all the leaders of the tech companies being Indian, and that has been a journey. India invested in this kind of, knowledge building and what. I think we also need to do that. And then probably as a wrap up, I think impact execution is important. Seminars like this, sessions like this, what's next? What are the actions that are taken from this? If all the players, including our governments, partner with Citi FM and say, okay, the findings that you gathered from your business festival, what are we going to tackle? What are we going to execute? Then we see a clear journey that after Citi Business Festival, within 3 months, we're able to achieve X. Within 1 year, we're able to do this. And I think all the partners are on board for that. And the knowledge experts are also there to give us some more.
Okay, Arash, we'll come to you and then we'll go to Franklin.
I would look at it more from a partnership conversation, and listening to Andrew and my colleague here, you would realize that a lot of synergies and conversations need to be had, and coming up with products that help the digital economy. MTN is one of our key partners. We almost every time are having conversations where we are co-creating solutions to enable this economy. How do we propel this to the next level? Those are the kind of conversations that needs to be had. So yes, I do support. Also, from a people perspective, I did mention what's some of the things that we're doing. And to piggyback what Andrew did say, last year, for instance, we had conversations, or we had programs with MEST where we were very vocal around changing the mindset. So if you look at what that program sought to do, how do we grow the next level of entrepreneurs into this digital economy? And almost all the program outlines were in support. I do support the conversations around ideations. And yes, that was one of the key things that did happen. We actually did have a hackathon where we had about 20 ideas. As we speak now, this is going through the mail to see the ones that can be picked, to see how best we can propel that to the next conversations. So yes, I do support almost all the conversations. And as a bank, that's our role. We play the role of an enabler. The fintechs and almost every institution might need a payments engine, for instance. How, as a bank, how do we support these guys? That's where our cyber source, our e-commerce solutions do come in. They ride on the back of it, and they're able to move to the next level. So that's the way, from a banking perspective, we try to position ourselves, play the role of an enabler, and make sure that you go out there to grow.
But in terms of, like Andrew was saying, betting on businesses, pushing money in terms of loans or grants and whatever, where are you with that? Because from the traditional point, away from the digital economy, we have the banks not really wanting to go into certain sectors, and even if they do, the interests are so high, which is a put-off for young startups who want to do something.
I think we do have the solutions, and I'm sure we've heard about our startup proposition that we do have. But to bring the conversation home, Andrew and I, we do have a good relationship. He would attest to the fact that we do, when there is that belief in the business, okay, we are all for it. He knows the story, so I don't need to say much about it. But yeah, I think from a banking perspective, yes, once it makes sense, okay, we are always ready to support.
I'm asking that because a lot of the technology industry, the digital space and all that, you see a growing number of young people that are going towards that. And some of them may be holding back because of issues to do with funding and all that. For somebody who is out there, who is watching this program, who wants to go to the space, Bento was talking about place, areas they've created for them to come in and all that. How has your bank positioned yourself to help them to move, into spaces like that?
I think that's where our startup proposition does come to play, where we do a lot of trainings and hand-holding. As part of the products, it's actually we helping you grow to the next level, and that's what we actually do. And I do speak about the MES products partnership that we do have. Almost every year we are taking you for this kind of trainings where you are being trained, you are being given the insights to the next level. We bring industry experts. Andrew will be inviting possibly. So
they should move towards the MES thing too?
No, not necessarily the MES. Just sign up to our startup proposition, okay, and as much as possible, anything that falls within that ecosystem is up.
How do you do that?
Just walking into the branch, talk to
any ABSA
branch. Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Okay, yes, you can.
So I think in Ghana we've had an agric bank, we've had a construction bank, we've had, I think Ghana Home Loans was a bank at some point.
Mortgage, yeah.
When probably ABSA can take this up, but when can we have one that is focused on technology and digital? Because Silicon Valley would not be Silicon Valley without investments, without funds. So maybe we need to, ABSA, I don't know if you're going to drive it, but have a specialized institution funding these kind of initiatives.
That's food for
so that we'll add that to the takeaways from the forum.
I just wanted to add on to this. So, okay, and this is, I know a lot of corporates are watching your show. It's a wonderful platform you have. Congratulate you one time again. Look, let me tell you, I'm challenging every corporation in Ghana that makes more than 10 million in revenue, and that spends more than 1 million cedis in CSR. Globally, we have something called the CSI, Corporate Startup Initiative. What you do is it's an outside-in model. So you look at companies that look like you in the inside, but they are outside. And you can't bring them in because they are of themselves. So what you do is you support them to use it to drive your business growth. Glyco, God bless Kwame Achampachiri, he did the same with us when we started. Okay. So he put in $100,000 from an outside-in model perspective, with the idea that it will be able to drive his business. And that's how we came up with our digital microinsurance product we have, okay, amongst other things. The point I'm just making is, if we did that, that in itself is also a budget we can put down to fund these things. I'm not saying go and give it to a venture fund or private equity. Internally, that CSR fund that you've apportioned, only 20% of it can help startups grow. Also have a mindset that some of them will die. But Remember Nokia, right? Remember BlackBerry. But they were one-time champions.
They're big guys.
Do you see what I
Yeah.
mean? So it doesn't matter if some of them will die. What matters is that you will help them grow.
Yeah.
And then because of the insolvency bill we have, they can even be absorbed.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, you can now absorb. Whereas before, you have to just liquidate.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as a country, we built that soft infrastructure that will help us go to the next stage. And I think that we need diversity in the boardroom. CEOs and their boards need to start making very harsh decisions that will change the economy.
That's right. I agree with that. You want to quickly react, and we'll bring in Franklin.
Just to add on to Benedict's points around what we are doing to support. We might not be the bank supporting the Silicon Valley yet, but we do have the 10% products out there where loans, which is going for 10%, available to startups, as I've mentioned. It's collateral free. You can walk in, sign up to the startup proposition, and basically it's up for grabs. So yes, we might not be there yet, but at least we do have solutions that support the ecosystem.
People will be writing to your bank today for that. Franklin, you have the floor.
Yes, just 2 points. I think the first thing I'd like to talk about is culture.
Is the what?
Culture.
Okay.
We need a cultural shift.
Yes.
That you don't have to be employed to be serious in life.
Yes.
In our part of the world, if you are self-employed, there are tree slangs for you. You know, you don't take it so seriously in life.
They are not part of that. They are not part of the story.
And I think that needs to change.
Yeah.
To allow a lot of people to come across and to try their hands at this digital economy and other things we're talking about.
Yeah.
The second thing is collaboration. I think certainly Barclays, I'd like to shake your hand. Business tomorrow. Shake your hand. Because so far you have not given me any business. Absolutely.
But you won't shake my hand. I'm doing the collaboration here in the whole thing.
Shake your hands, because that's what this is about. Because there are local players with the knowledge. Please don't go far. And when it comes to things like MEST and all of these things, we can advise on it. Yeah. When it comes to the things you're doing, so that we share it locally. Are you with me? So the knowledge. But finally, I say that we should meet guys off this platform one evening somewhere and push this agenda.
Yes.
Happy to pay the pizza bill. Let's move on.
Okay, so now let's come to businesses proper, these startups, SMEs, whatever you call them, and look at the digital economy and how, the digital economy can enable those businesses. Can you help us with that conversation for people in that space?
Oh, anyway, let me keep it short. If you build the infrastructure for digital economy, your data center is good, your cloud services run off it, your connectivity is good, the bandwidth is great. They can produce digital goods and services. And I have seen that in Ghana where people have produced things world class. And that is what we have in our Facebooks of life. I'm going to say all the time for us that people are making. So I think to that extent, we are ready. They just need mentoring. And some of us who are perhaps a little bit successful at this should be pulling people in and encouraging them to be the next great Amazon, the next great, as we move up the scale. So for me, when it comes to entrepreneurship and ability, I don't have any doubt that we are there. We just need to be able, if each of us had to raise 2 or 3 people, and just making sure they can do this. I also think there are so many businesses like the hairdressing, telling them to scale, and how they do a decent website, so that we can localize some of our businesses. People, a dressmaker, seamstress, maybe they can take an order via WhatsApp or some of the things. So that, because there's so many people in that bracket that we are not touching, that we can digitize to an extent and get them to participate in the economy. So let me leave it there. I know my colleagues have a lot to say, but there's a lot we can do in that area.
I would start from, or possibly take it from the data side, where, because we are enabling the digital economy, there is a lot of data out there. And with the right data mining, you can actually have a lot of insights on what your customers want, how you can solution better, even from a customer experience perspective. So I think that's an angle where I would say the startup, the SME needs to pay a lot more attention to the digital economy, because there are a lot of insights out there, and they can harness the data that they are taking.
Okay. So from my side, I think MTN has now taken a design thinking approach to everything we do. It's first about what makes life easier for the customer. And because my customer ranges from all the way from the lady selling fish at the market to an Anglo Gold, we believe in they making their customers' lives easier. So this digital discussion that we are having enables their customers to have seamless transactions with them. And in the end, we benefit. So if it takes me an hour to do something or have to drive to a bank to do something, now I could just do it seamlessly. And for us, we want to provide the tools to enable the businesses, allow their customers to do that. And unfortunately, there may be some of the instances where we have to work with foreign partners, the Microsofts, the AWS, the Googles. We work with them to be able to provide it in a local instance. I think we'll be closing something with Microsoft and probably provide a local instance of Azure very soon. But eventually, we also support the innovation of the local partners, local developers. They come up with solutions that we can be able to then hand off to our customers and allow these businesses to basically, make everything in their business a digital experience, a seamless experience. If we are able to do that, think about this, we are freeing up time for people to innovate. We are freeing up resources. You don't need to rely on hard resources if you're able to do something within a minute from your couch. Yeah. And those are the kind of agendas we are driving at the moment. So for us, we feel if once we keep talking to the customers and once we keep identifying what makes their life easier, it's almost in parallel, in the same direction as the digital agenda, and we'll continue to tread that path.
Okay, Andrew.
Well, I first of all, so we're talking about putting some money away to create employment for youth entrepreneurship, etc. I'm saying let's put, even if it's just $1 million, and get the right set teams of persons and agency behind us and re-educate our minds. Franklin talked about culture and mindset, right? Look, we're training a lot of graduates, a lot of them, but what are they doing? Everybody wants a job. Yeah. And you know the sad part? Everybody wants to work for an MTN. Everybody wants to work for an Apple. Everybody wants to work. It's like it has to be a big building, right? But think about it. The late President Rawlings, at the age of 27, was the head of state. Today, your average 32-year-old is walking out under the CV looking for a job and hasn't worked for 5 years or 10 years after school. But yet, there's so much opportunity that's in front of them. Think about it carefully. Just imagine, today we still use Kayayo, right? Yeah. We still have shoemakers. In fact, they are becoming extinct. Yeah. I recently saw an Adieye. Do you guys remember that? Yeah. I recently saw one outside my gate. I was so excited, I called my son. I said, come
and see.
I was like, Andy, come and see this, right? Now, imagine a simple app that you've gone to do your shopping, you're about to finish in the open market. You type, you go on it, and you see all the ideas that are, all the kaya
around the place here,
It does the infrastructure exist, it's Uber.
Like the Uber thing,
exists already, Google Maps, right? So immediately you get a Kayayo. The app provider pays a Kayayo. The wallet companies have business. The fintech sits in the middle and processes the transaction. Maybe even the bank might support the liquidity on it. Yeah. The point I'm making is until we get to a point where we don't think it's inferior to come out of school and not have a job, we're not going anywhere. Yeah. Do you understand me? That's what Franklin was saying. Yeah. I remember when I quit my job to do this, I met a friend at the party and said, you're going into remittance, that thing, Fair enough, but things like that don't matter. But my point is, we desperately need to move away from that mindset. Otherwise, all we are doing is we're going to keep producing graduates that are just going to be mediocre. By the time they have a job, they're about to be fired. Then the other thing is we moved away from the Common Entrance program and went into the GSS program. That program was supposed to give you technical skills. That program was supposed to make it possible that when you finish school and you don't want to go to university, you can be a great painter that have a painting company. Today, look at our construction industry. It's being run by Togolese and other people. They are the main guys. Yeah. Because if you want a good job done, they are the guys who will do the job. Yeah. I recently went into a school that my son is about to go to, and I was shocked. They're able to dismantle. This is 10, 11-year-olds. They dismantled a Porsche engine and rebuilt it. Man, what are we talking about? So it's not about government, it's about us.
Yeah.
We need to stop this thing about if you're not an accountant, we don't respect you.
Absolutely.
If you're not a medical doctor, we don't respect you. If you're not a lawyer, if you're not a banker, we don't respect you. We need to just get to a place where we're like, you know what, we're going to create employment. If one company employs 5, another 10, another 20, we still have employment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it starts with our lawmakers, our politicians. They need to start bringing that mindset in. You understand? So for me, that's what I'm going to leave.
Maybe they don't really understand this whole, digital conversation.
Or maybe they don't understand the place they are sitting. Their chance.
Yeah, that could also be because people
Respectfully,
think the digital conversation is a bit of a technical conversation. Isn't that, frankly?
Well, to an extent, but I think that the economy that we talk about and our ability to improve it and therefore giving a platform for our politics is now digital, whether we like it or not.
That's also true.
So this whole conversation about political leadership is actually about digital leadership. So if there's a politician who doesn't understand the digital economy and how it should work, then they don't qualify for our vote. You are getting me into trouble.
Well, let me move you away from the trouble. After, we're within the after space now. And the digital economy, if you look at even payments, I'm not sure across Africa we can do that properly, what we have now and all that. How do we change the conversation to really gain from this after, knowing what we have in terms of our digital economy, where we've gotten to?
You are talking about the Africa?
Yes, free trade, yes.
Well, I certainly think that those we have, we should celebrate and encourage and allow them to participate even further and take advantage of AFTA, especially where it's headquartered in Ghana. But I also think we need to encourage other people to be part of this, because for me, this session wasn't about exploring opportunities, but the opportunities all across.
Yeah.
And we can encourage more companies to participate and then get them to be involved in AFTA to that extent. But I think for the purpose of this chat in the last hour or so, I think we've been talking about those who are already here and how we can encourage them. But I think that for those who haven't touched it at all, there are so many of them. There are so many opportunities.
Yeah.
For example, I'm looking for an online university that's not Coursera or Udemy. And I don't see why we can't have one in Ghana now.
I think there was one that, unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Lawa University. It was fully online. But I don't know what happened with that. But to the after this discussion, I think it's a very important one. And organizations like ABSA, myself, ZPay, I think we need to be intentional about it. And we are, when we have a solution that we need to get from a foreign partner, we find out, is there a local partner who can do same, who can do better? Then you engage the local partner. And we've worked with people like Mpuntu and Prepis and whatnot, but people like ZPay are now expanding into Africa. So we also need to push our own Ghanaian content into the African market. And there are quite a few very, very talented individuals, people running very smart organizations that we can push to, our neighboring countries. Unfortunately, although it's headquartered here, the attitude of the Nigerian when it comes to pushing his people out into other African countries is more aggressive than the Ghanaian. So you see them, and we complain about them taking over our businesses and whatnot, but they're a little more aggressive and a little more intentional. And I think Ghana should also do the same, push our people out there who have amazing stuff and get the other African countries to patronize it.
Okay, right. Andrew, you want to add to that quickly?
Well, in terms of free trade, we did geography, most of us, right? Geography will tell you once you ply a road, trade happens. Yeah. It starts with somebody doing a small tabletop, then a shop, then before you know, there's a whole ecosystem is built. I think that's the next thing that's happening to Africa. This continental free trade policy agreement is a wonderful thing. We are the enablers of it. Without us, it will not be enabled. What I mean by us is players, operators, right? We are the ones that are going to make it possible, whether we allow for monetization or movement of goods and services. I'm going to go back to the reimagining conversation I was having with you. Imagine what's happening in Sahel, Mali right now. They don't have water. We have excess water, right? Water should be able to move to Mali. Somebody should be able to help follow it and monetize by making the payment possible. Our policymakers should start asking themselves, if you're regulated in a regime like Ghana, shouldn't you be allowed to passport by walking into Ivory Coast or Mali and be saying, because Ghana has licensed you, we'll license you? Because we have ECOWAS. ECOWAS globally is one of the powerful economic unions that has stood the test of time. Do you understand? So let's even start with an ECOWAS conversation before we talk about full block Africa. So that's the first thing. The second thing is also, as trade is about to move, I keep telling everybody, the size of trade that will move at the AFTA is not going to be the 1 million we push. It's going to be 5 and 10, 20,000. A lot of people don't know this. Kumasi is a trade hub for the Sahel. Accra market is a trade hub for Lomé, Togo, Benin. It's a trade hub for Sierra Leone, Gambia. So trade is moving already before we started talking about Africa free trade. We need to see that and enable it. And that enablement comes from private sector, but it will need a bit of hand-holding from the government. Then I also want to say that the time has come for the government to create a hand-holding platform that is going to take existing fintechs, existing corporate startups, and new startups or ideation stage, and just say, you know what, we think what you're doing is great. We're going to propel for growth. Because that's what Hong Kong did. That's what Singapore did. The UK, they have something called the Khalifa program. It was first a report, now it's a full-blown program in the UK. We need to, you see, we need to be intentional and desperate. We need to be desperate that we will not become what Franklin described. Because if in the fourth revolution we are what? We're in the third world, then we have a problem. And this problem is a major issue. It's not one we should politicize. It's not a partisan conversation. It's all of us, our children are at play. All of us, our cousins and our nephews are at play.
Right.
That's my take.
All right, sure.
Oh, I think on the after conversation, as a bank, we are really supportive, integrating into the payments engine to make sure that we are ready when the conversations are being had. So I think that's what I'll just touch on. From a banking perspective, we are ready and we are ever ready to support.
Okay. Policy changes, Franklin. What policies can we put in place to change the kind of, attitude we have to move us? You guys have fantastic ideas, great ideas. We are late and all that. What policies can we put in place? There's a discussion on the collaboration and all that. Let's say that is done. What should we push for to push this whole thing?
I think there are policy changes, but they exist at different levels. Some of them we've done. Certainly in the area of interoperability, some of them are in play. But I think that we should deliberately make some policies in the area of digital skills to allow some training. I think we certainly need to make some policies in the area of data sovereignty, data residency, data privacy to benefit the Ghanaian players deliberately. I think in terms of databases, we need policies in terms of the health of the databases, what they contain, and the kind of information, because some of them may be against privacy rules. And in my view, some of the content they have should not be available outside the shores of this country without due permission from the right quarters. So I think we need to take the 8 layers, the 7 layers of the book plus the 8 cyber, and look at them one by one. Some of them already maybe there already, I'm not sure. I'm just providing a laundry list to look at it one by one. But I don't think anybody should be allowed to graduate without a model in digital skills, not from any of our universities. I think it would be a sin. I think they should not be allowed to graduate. And I think we need to work on the content and allow that content to be incorporated into the education and the degrees that they have today. And the experts are there, we can work on it. I certainly also think that when it comes to things like integration, there are players like this Open API thing that we're talking about. That's a deliberate thing. To say that, okay, we'll provide these gateways. If somebody needs to come in, we open that gateway for them to get in. And allow the Ghanaian players to participate. So somebody with a leadership eye should be allowing the Ghanaian players to win in this digital economy. Because the kind of monies that we are talking about in the digital economy are so phenomenal that the poverty that we have seen in the industrial era up to now will just be child's play. There will be billionaires. And yesterday, I think I said it on the program, the kind of wealth in the digital economy, if you look at the 11, 12 richest people in the US, it's all in IT.
Wow.
Yes, they're all there. So for me, this poverty mindset is a fragment of the industrial era. We've moved on. We are talking about leadership between a Jack Welch, which was more industrial, as opposed to a Zuckerberg, which is more digital. And we need to raise digital leaders, and we need to raise more Zuckerbergs as opposed to Welches, if you see what I mean. And that's what he's talking about, Andrew, here. And we need to build them so that they are not ashamed, they are bold, they can leave school and say that I want to build a payment platform without ridicule from parents, that kind of thing, so that they come in and they are confident that there will be people that men, women will marry because they are in IT and they have very low incomes. Let me rest my case. Thank you. They are not a banker.
There's a personal
Personal one. Well, you're watching at the City Business Festival at TV forums. I see a lot of messages coming in. I would think I would have to start looking at some before we take a break. This one says, this is a great show. We need more of such programs instead of political programs every day. Nothing just happens on YouTube, you say. This one says, hello, greetings, City Business Festival team. Thank you for bringing these great minds to enlighten us more. The digital economy is without borders. Can it be abused? Who will face the consequences? So this one says it is without borders. Can it be abused? And if it is abused, who will face the consequences? Looking at the negatives that may come out around the digital economy and what we can do to deal with that.
Well, I don't think that the digital economy itself would have consequences from the definitions we gave you.
Yeah.
Remember, it's billions of activities, I won't use transactions, and sequences that are happening in different forms and formats to co-create new things and existing things.
Yeah.
And I gave you Uber, Facebook, Zipay, all these reimaginations that have happened. But I believe that we need social contracts for some elements. AI, for example. Social contracts is we have a social understanding of what we accept and we're allowed to run through.
Yeah.
So maybe we will do validation. We'll not allow it. Recently, one of the AI platforms was built to disrupt something else. Can be dangerous. So yes, we need social contracts. I think we need frameworks, but frameworks, Ghana as a country has put a lot in. Data protection, they've even scaled their frameworks now, right? I know we don't do GDPR in Ghana, but we have a certain class which is near that. Gross data protection rules, right? Then on social contracts, if you look at, for example, even Central Bank, they have guidelines on different elements. If you look at NCA, they came up all these USSD code and guidelines around it. So we built an ecosystem to take care of ourselves. What we probably haven't done is around AI. But AI is around social contracts. And I want to caution all of us that let's not be in a rush. What we need to do is have a lot of these conversations, a lot of these engagements, because we need to understand how destructive.
Okay, Andrew, I'll come back to you. I have to take a quick break. I need to promote your company and all others that are boss. I need to take a quick break to do that. But let me quickly run through our sponsors for this year's City Business Festival. We have our partner, Absa Bank. We have our sponsors, MTN Momo, MTN Business, and of course, Zipay, which Andrew is the CEO of MTN Momo, MTN Business, Mr. Bentel here, and then Horatio for Absa. And then, of course, we are supported by Gersal and also powered by Citi 97.3 and Citi TV. We'll be right back to take more of your questions. Probably look at AI, should we be bothered about it? And then probably do a quick prediction in the next 2-5 years, what to expect around the digital economy and how you can take advantage of that. To stay with us, we'll be right back.
My name is Florence Japon. My company's name is Florama Enterprise. I deal in chemicals. chemicals for making soap, shower gels, air conditioning, and skin products. My mom started this business 20 years back, so I joined after finishing school. And a friend of mine introduced me to AFSA. I opened an account with them. I got an RM who introduced me to AFSA Young African Works program. I went to the program. After the program, I was able to secure a loan from AFSA. During the program, I got a new idea. So immediately after the program, I introduced a new product named Organics, and it really helped me. I want to move out from the market and move to a shopping mall so that I would sell at the down floor of the shopping mall and do training upstairs. That is my dream. My fellow entrepreneurs, open an AFSA account and join the AFSA Young African Works program. It will take your business to the next level.
The point of view.
If cabinet ministers have been accused of sabotaging a major government program, which almost every day was in the news, how come we haven't heard anything until after the interview and then we are told that this should be investigated?
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis,
Bernard, we're not in a good place. We're not in a good place because we don't have access to the international capital market.
it's the hard-hitting conversations on The Point of View.
MPP and the NDC have had a consensus about economic policy. The fight really has been about who will be in power and who will be sitting at the edge of the trough and helping themselves and their associates.
And the probing questions of The Point of View.
How many times have I even showed the world's most expensive hole? Why can't they tell us the exact amount? And why is it that what they told Parliament is not less than $1 million?
The twisted entanglements of politics and governance.
There's nothing wrong for a politician to address national issues and also respond to critics,
as well as religious and social discourse.
I think that people are entitled to their own opinion on issues. And so when the president said, I want to build a national cathedral, people can have their own opinion on matters. But let us pray that God will bless this economy so that we can have our roads built and the cathedral built.
The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issues.
As part of your budget for the year is a line item that says what? Electricity.
Yeah.
So what's your reason for not paying?
Economy.
How can the economy be a reason? What about us?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Citi TV and is sponsored by Belpac. Belpac, just perfect.
Welcome back to the City Business Festival, the TV forum as well. Thank you so much for joining us. This year's edition is being sponsored or brought to you. Our partner is ABSA Bank. Our sponsors are MTN Momo, MTN Business, ZP, and of course we're supported by Gesell. Also being powered by Citi FM as well as Citi TV. So we're taking some of your questions now. I have a great team here who are helping me understand the issues around the digital economy. I have Franklin Asari, CEO of TechGov, Benedict Bentil, Senior Manager, Enterprise Marketing and Portfolio Management, MTN, Horatio Nidodu, Head Digital Emerging Markets, ABSA, and of course Andrew Techia, Founder and CEO of ZPay. So I think the question was around whether it can be abused and who will face the consequences. If we can answer that in the next minute, or actually want to take that, of course.
I think Andrew has touched on it, and yes, can it be abused? I think so, but that's where the regulations, the frameworks come to play. So once we've put in the right enablers, I think we should be in a good place.
Okay. Good afternoon. I think the hindrance to innovation by most SMEs is lack of knowledge. They do not have the right information about innovation. Okay. It's difficult to change from traditional ways of doing business, especially when their clients themselves lack knowledge. This is Richard from OEB with that message.
Sign up to ABSA and you'll be fine.
Okay, so Richard, I'm being told you should come to ABSA, any branch, and then that will be dealt with. Okay. Celestina from Machaeko says, wonderful conversation you're having. I think it's about time we reimagine the digital economy. I totally agree with these noble and intelligent men. I do have a couple of ideas, and this conversation is just doing it for me. Our banks need to be flexible, and yes, this goes way beyond political party affiliation. It's time to make a change, you say. Pasolo from Sunyani says, hello, greetings, City Business Festival team. Thank you for bringing these great minds. I think I've read this already. This one says, looking forward to the future, how will digital economy in Ghana progress? That's your question. Looking forward to the future, how will digital economy in Ghana progress? Franklin, this is your question.
I think we need to acknowledge, and I think Andrew alluded to that earlier, what we have done already. But I think there needs to be clear steps available, even more like a project plan as to what we do tomorrow, what we do in July and in the months after. I think we need to ensure that this doesn't become a talk show, because some of these ideas are already out there.
Yeah.
It's our ability to execute them.
Yeah.
And I think let's start from where we are. However humble the steps need to be, it's better to do something than nothing at all.
Okay.
And we can take any of the layers and do what we can about it. Because even around this platform, people want to do stuff.
Yeah.
What you're doing at Legon is honorable in terms of Andrew.
Yeah.
And we need to enable and see what those steps are. I think what you're doing at APSA is great. You know, somebody can walk into your branch and get something. That's good. Let's start from there. And I think the other conversation that I'm hearing is that we could do this without the political force by what we are doing in private sector. I think that was also a chord across here. So maybe that's an answer for the person.
Okay. I was just going to say that, so the UK government is literally just about wrapping up its digital strategy. To do that, they went into key markets, including Ghana, to get insights and talk to markets, right? I believe that at the national level, and this is not even political, just at the national level, I don't know which agency will do this, or if they can there can be a collaborative platform between NIC from insurance, NCA, Bank of Ghana, what's the other one? NITA, you know, the consortium of players that are impacted to come up with a digital strategy, right? That would also help Ghana as we leapfrog into more depth, deeper depths of the digital economy.
Okay. This one says, yes, if our leaders cannot comprehend this digital economy, then you don't know exactly where they sit as leaders, period. I think Andrew or Franklin, one of you said that. Okay. Right. This one says, I'm truly inspired by the whole conversation right now. I have a question for Mr. Andrew. How can you develop a Kayayo app when the network we run on is very slow? We simply can't rely on fast internet connection in the heart of the marketplace. This is from Fafali from who?
Let me answer Fafali. Fafali uses Uber. Uber is running on the same network, however stable or unstable it is. My thing to Fafali is start by doing something. You can leverage, in fact, the Google API is an open API. You can leverage it, you can put simple NFC tags. It's as cheap as 1 cent on the Kayoyo's bowl, and that you can find it on your platform. Start. Sometimes we worry too much about the so-called things that fight us. Just start in that co-creation, and people and things will find you to complete it.
Okay. AI. Franklin. AI, should we be worried about AI? How can we take advantage of AI as the people and all that?
Well, I think we should be worried about AI because of our ignorance. But let me start from the positive.
Please start,
I think that the Google AI lab is in Ghana, somewhere. And I think that is a sign that we can take advantage of it as a country. We've been taken seriously. But I would like to know if the Google AI can speak a little bit of our local languages.
I know, right?
Although all this thing is going on here.
Yeah.
But AI is one to watch. It has the ability to abuse to a very large extent because of the intrusive data mining capabilities and algorithms that it has got. So to the novice, and the uneducated and the digitally illiterate. It can. Do you notice that these days when you speak and you say you want to eat pizza or whatever, before you know it, there's a pizza ad.
There's a pizza.
And it's on your phone. And these are not prophecies, so they appear.
Yeah.
And most of us don't have a clue as to how to block them. That will be part of the immediate digital education, because your privacy is being intruded right now. But AI can be positive. But it will be positive in the context of the data that it is going to mine, if we own the data.
Right.
Okay.
And for me, that's where the conversation should begin.
Yeah.
Because our data is being mined, our privacy is being invaded. People are making money and lots of it out of that invasion of our privacy, and we don't even know about it, the African paradigm. That should change. So in this digital era, where we were not born in the industrial era, in this digital era, things should change. And I believe that we need policy to be able to drive it. We need a lot of education to be able to drive it. I like to say our universities do a lot more of data science.
Okay.
And understand the whole mining ecosystem, the parameters of what we call in our book business intelligence powered by AI, and understand it more intrusively so that it can help us. But at the core of it, let me speak to companies now.
Please.
It will allow us to make sound leadership decisions.
Okay.
Because you have, for example, do we know how many bowls of wache are eaten in Ghana every Saturday? Maybe if we did, a Ghanaian will be controlling the selling of the beans. Yeah. Just an example everybody can relate to. That is something AI can give you. That can help us and create business ecosystems, and it can tell you, is it safe to go into the business or safe? That kind of decision or decisions at the top will be driven by AI. At this point, we haven't even begun to build our pillars to be able to benefit from it.
Yeah.
The pillars are not there. The data is not for us. That is worrying. So AI is good, but for us now, I think AI is just there to hurt us. Because you don't even know what it will be taken away from you. But very good discussion.
Yeah. If I could, for me, I think we should be, I'll choose the word cautious rather, not worried. Technology is like Thanos, it's inevitable. It will come and it will evolve. And we have to be cautious in the sense of how to manage, especially like you said, the data. The data exists in Ghana. It exists in silos in small places. Yeah. And like you said, if we are trained in data science, we know how to harness all that data. And essentially the AI is just a machine or a system that's taking all that data and processing it at a faster pace than a human mind would. So it could generate the essays and all that. And university lecturers who take PowerPoint presentations from Google get angry when their students submit ChatGPT as well. But essentially, that processing ability, the data is there. We need to mine the data. We need to structure the data, and then it can feed into AIs that can be beneficial to us. Now, in terms of the governance around it, that's where the caution should be. Data protection is moving at a fast pace, but regulation will always be behind innovation because the innovation needs to come, you see it, and then we regulate. But if we move fast enough, I think we can protect our consumers, we can protect our people, protect their data, but we can tap into the benefits of the AI. It's inevitable. I think we have to use it to our advantage while being cautious.
I just want to say that, as a business, today I use AI and we have one of the best fraud control platforms in Ghana, if not the best. And it's because of AI. It's wonderful, it's sweet. But I want to differ with Franklin. Okay. There's a lot of ignorant, innocent, there's a lot of people who don't understand. AI has a lot of predictive capabilities. It's not even an amalgam, it's an arsenal of big data in different forms, ways, whatever. It can be very dangerous in our parts of the world. It can be so dangerous that I think urgently we should start having conversations around. I use social contract. Maybe it's frameworks that we should be use so people will get my point. but I'm sure most of you understand what I mean by social contract. We need to start having these conversations because right now we're using AI 0.01.
Yeah.
The AI 4.0 going on out there. But the nature of our environments will leapfrog very quickly.
Yeah.
And the capacity and capabilities of those platforms are very, very serious. So the more we quickly get into it and define what is our framework we'll work with and what is permissible and clamp down quickly, the safer we are. Let me remind all of us that the gentleman at Google left to preach against AI.
Yeah.
And he's the father of AI. But yes, on the 0.01 level, it's great. It's helping us with big data. We haven't even leveraged it.
Yeah.
I like what Franklin gave about his example about the beans. We haven't leveraged it. We haven't leveraged it to actually enable us to participate in the new digital economy. That's the enabler I keep talking about. AI is an enabler for the success of the digital economy.
Okay.
But the capabilities of AI, we need to understand it.
Okay.
I think Andrew has touched on it, but just to say that we need to see how best we can harness it a bit more. And from a personal perspective, we shouldn't be worried about AI coming to possibly take over our jobs. I think we as a personnel need to see how best we can reinvent ourselves to be able to accommodate what the technology is bringing to the markets. That's what I mean.
Okay. This message says, this is from Desmond. Hello, Mrs. Loco. Please, how can I contact the gentleman from ABSA? I'm an inspired entrepreneur. I want the support to move my business into the next level in the foreseeable future.
I don't know the terms and conditions here, but we are available. You can walk into any of our branches, and we are ready to support.
So that's where you can go to any ABSA bank. I'm sure they'll help you. This one from Cyril in Kumasi says, Citi Business Festival is really boosting our morals. I'm a university student who has created a classified arts website for university students to trade for free. Unimall.com, free advert, I'll charge you for you. Getting bloggers and influencers to help promote it is a challenge because of the amount they are requesting. Can you please suggest a solution or advice for some of us coming up in the digital world in Ghana?
Okay, I think I'll take that probably. MTN business, for our SMEs especially, we now have a mobile advertising service. But it essentially takes what you want to target. So if you want to target young people between a certain age and a certain age in a specific location, and then you can push your advertisement to them. It is heavily regulated just to make sure that people's data is protected and you don't bombard people with unsolicited communications. So he can take advantage of that. He can also expand his online presence.
Take us through again
Okay.
how they have to.
So the mobile advertising service, if you get in touch with anybody from MTN Business, will give you the requirements. But essentially, you can set up your campaign, and then you can pick the parameters that you want to reach. So if it doesn't go just to everybody, you blast out there and people are wondering
do you pay something
yes,
to get
it's a paid service.
Okay.
But it's very affordable. Okay. And then you can just say, okay, I want my ad to only go to women between the ages of 20 and 30 in Greater Accra. Okay. And only those people will get it, so that you are not worrying other people with your ad, and then it reaches your target market. But aside that, I think online presence, he needs to take advantage of the Instagram, the Facebook. They now have targeted ads you can build an audience and push it out to. And then also, I think WhatsApp Business as well. There are a few solutions in the general market out there. But definitely, you can take advantage of our mobile advertising.
Okay.
Can I too?
Oh, yes.
This one says, this is Enoch Apiasam, CEO of Isnok Communications. He says, banks must rethink on what they prioritize in terms of support. Declaring huge profit annually does not develop an economy like ours. They should call for proposals from young, brilliant entrepreneurs who I meet every day on my mentorship journey, and money for them so they can grow this economy. I think ABSA is doing that with their SME thing. Okay. Guys, in the next 5 minutes, in the next 5 years, our digital economy, where will we be? I like to hit Franklin because of his book. There's so much in the book. What are your
think if
predictions
we don't
and
start now,
projections?
I think first of all we need to develop a framework that we are going to adapt as a country.
Mm-hmm.
There are frameworks out there. And we need to look at that framework and audit where we are against that framework. So that at least at this point, June 2023, we can have an assessment of where we are as a country in terms of our maturity and the steps we've taken.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. So, what framework are we adopting?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? I certainly think from a government perspective, we need to develop a blueprint, and I believe it's already there. We need to polish it up and be clear where we are going based on this blueprint, measured against these enablers that we've talked about, so that we can move on. I think for private sector, we need to look at our strategies as companies and see where we want to be in the same 5 years and what our companies will look like in 5 years. Now, and this is the point that I want to defer to my colleague from APSA here. So many businesses will change in 5 years.
True.
So I look at 60 months from now and I'm frightened.
Yeah.
Maybe the AI app will be a journalist and be able to capture all the things that are happening here. Maybe there'll be a camera somewhere that is face recognition. All that technology is there today. So I think from a corporate side, and I'll speak to leaders on the corporate side, to look at our businesses and where we think they will be, what the competition would look like, and if we'll still be there. Then I think we need to look at education, which is also a platform for empowerment now. What do we need to do now? Because as we stand now, some people don't even know what AI is.
Yeah.
Some of the terminology we're talking about, Internet of Things, nothing.
No idea.
When you say social media, to most people in Ghana, it may just be WhatsApp and Facebook.
Yeah.
And their true meaning is lost, that they are social marketing tools on the internet, as opposed to a platform where you take pictures and have a gallery and that kind of things and streaming. There's more to Facebook than that. So education is key, as I summarize. A framework is key. We need to adopt a framework. If you look at our economic models, there are frameworks, so that we can assess our performance against it. Then, out of those frameworks, design a policy direction, which will be a blueprint, 3-5-year strategy plan that is clear for all to see, and we can audit performance against it. So that, and then for companies. But I have said this before. In my lifetime, I want to see an African company that will become a unicorn. $2 billion of revenue. So, Andrew, I'm looking at you here.
Andrew.
Because we don't have unicorns.
Yeah.
A real unicorn.
We don't. 2 billion people. We don't. We don't. We don't have unicorns. And if it is strategic, if it is planned, if it's insightful now, that in 5 years, we are all going to make sure that one of these Ghanaian companies will become a unicorn. That will be a very august thing to support. And I want to live to see it.
Wow.
They create a messy moment.
Yeah.
I think there would be a lot more business models being created, new businesses created, and I would say that's possibly where I do come in. I do expect a lot more partnerships coming to the fore with the telcos, with the fintechs. We should be seeing a lot more of collaborations coming in. If you don't collaborate, basically, you might not survive in the next 5 years. Be innovative. But yes, and an open advert. If you do have any brilliant idea that you believe that you need to be supported on, just talk to any of our branches. Find a way of getting through to us. We would always listen. Andrew is my senior. He would attest that wherever there is that will to make it happen, we would definitely make it happen. So I think that's what I would say happening in the next 5 years. Thanks.
Okay. So on my side, I'll answer in two parts. As a country, I think the National Development Planning Commission, will eventually have a freestanding focus on the digital strategy, and I think that would be center stage. Hopefully, that has started in some form, and by the next 5 years, that should be an intentional thing. Franklin has already talked about education, but I think at some point we need to get to the basics from the primary stage. Kids are familiar with technology and digital solutions, and that's where I see as a nation us going. In terms of the technology side of things or the MTN side of things, IoT is going to play a big part in this particular digital economy. Fulfillments, end-to-end fulfillments, although there are some parts of the ecosystem that still need some work, I think within the next 5 years, with APIs, with the right solutions and infrastructure in place, we should be able to deliver those seamless experiences for our customers. And I think we will have leapfrogged again within the next 5 years. We've experienced quite a good acceleration, and I don't think anybody would want to rest on our laurels. I think we would still accelerate some more and probably catch up and overtake the Kenyans and the Rwandans.
Well, what should we expect from your industry?
Okay. So from our side, I think we've started that process. First of all, transitioning from telco to techco. Any software as a service solution that is available externally, maybe priced in dollars and whatnot, we're working on partnerships to bring that locally, where people can go online, pay in cedis at our marketplace and get the entire Microsoft suite or something like that. The Azure as well, we are doing local instances of Microsoft Azure. We might do AWS and the rest. If there's something that can be developed locally, like Franklin mentioned, it's something we are looking at. All our converged services should be, operating at a top notch by then. Audio conference and everything, the seamless experiences around doing a transaction, from IoT, cloud, hosting your services online, even getting a website. Just go online, create a website in 5 minutes. All those things are things we are bringing on, but it won't be 5 years, probably
2 years?
Yes.
1 year?
No. Probably by the end of this year into next year, some of the innovations are moving along. And with our partners like ZPay is both my competition and my partner.
Oh, that's an interesting relationship.
Yes. And it's an interesting relationship over 13 years. I knew him when he was now about to start. And we will be partnering people like this to drive the new disruptor, the new change in the market. So that's what they can expect from us.
It sounds very exciting. We look forward to the next few months to see what you bring on board. Andrew.
Well, I think I will just sort of sum it up for everybody, not necessarily ZPay. So I just want to say that in most economies, we have the first, second, and third economy. The first economy is usually multilateral, bilateral, feeding into government. This is from a payment, from supply of money in. Second economy is usually private sector, large and local corporate multinationals feeding in again for supply of money. So they take from first account to the second. The third economy is the bottom, the barrels. That's where most people will be.
Yeah.
It's interesting, in Ghana today, about 70% of our population are youthful. What I'm predicting when I look in my crystal ball is, if GDP is between $55 to $60 billion, a good 40% of GDP will be in the digital economy, and it will be driven by the third economy. The first economy, government will adapt within the next 5 years. Some parts of government will adapt, either through donor support, new thinking, thanks to the Vice President's thinking. The second economy will have full adaptation, because if anybody has to change their business models to survive, there will be multinationals and large and local corporates. So that's on that side. Wallets are considered as alternative payment methods globally. Yet, in Africa alone, we have over 200 million active wallets. We're more active in wallets than anywhere else in the world. If you take card business, Africa has the largest distribution of wallets versus card. So wallets will not be alternative payment methods. They'll be mainstream over the next 5 years.
Okay.
And then
Russia, are you listening to that?
They'll be mainstream on the next 5 years. And on the third layer, globally, we have new banks that were built. What you're going to find is regulators in our part of the world are going to start regulating banking from a product-led perspective. So you're going to start having digital banks, settlement banks, fintech banks. That will come. And that will be the 4.0 banking in the next 5 years. Then the last piece for my company, in the next 5 years, ZPay will be probably the largest mobile money operator in Africa by geography. And that's the story with him. Thank you.
We're still, Franklin, and I will all agree that you should become the unicorn.
Yes.
So,
and you become a unicorn.
Yeah.
I take the unicorn
years,
on board.
the unicorn. So, interesting predictions, and they all sound very exciting, and we're looking forward to that. I'll take your final comments on anything that we've touched on, 30 seconds, and then we'll wrap up. We'll start with you, Franklin.
I think we need to look at blockchain, Bitcoin, for a later conversation. But I think we cannot run away from it. It is coming. If you look at investment in the U.S. and other places, and we need to build capacity for that.
Our central bank has shied away from it in terms of regulations and all that. You're saying that not for long. They need to reconsider that.
Not for long.
All right. So within a year or two, that conversation will change?
Yeah, because if you go to the U.S. now, there are ATMs for Bitcoin out there.
All right. So that's an interesting one.
So finally, for me, I think from a banking perspective, I would say we are ready to enable any business at all that comes to the fore. If you have any solution, any idea, any banking need, just talk to any of our branches and we are ever ready to support you. Whatever the solution might be, we are ready to support.
Okay. Benedict.
Three things. First of all, let's celebrate at least our achievements so far. We are not going to be complacent, but we've done quite well as a country in terms of accelerating towards the digital economy. I mentioned earlier we're the second fastest grower in terms of digital maturity, only behind Botswana, I think. And even the demographics, how many women own businesses and all that. These are very good statistics for us. And we've come some ways, digital address, all those kind of things. There's still some way to go. So we celebrate that while still acknowledging that there's still some ways to go. The second thing is impact execution. From this, and I mentioned earlier on, but from this, what's next? What are the policymakers going to get in touch with Citi Business about? What are we going to achieve within 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever? The private sector has our goals, but we are prepared to also help with the government if they want to, merge and accelerate this. And then finally, let's approach the digital economy from a design thinking point of view. Let's listen to the people. Let's find out what makes life easy for them. Let's find out what makes life very efficient for them, including the businesses especially, SMEs, entrepreneurs, all the way to the large corporates. Let's focus on them because they are the ones who will drive this digital economy.
Andrew, 30 seconds.
Well, I would say that Africa Free Trade is a wonderful thing. This continental agreement, I embrace it, and I'm encouraging all players within that ecosystem to start looking at things like passporting, so that at least even in ECOWAS alone, we should be able to passport our license to other countries, which means that if you move into Ivory Coast, because you're licensed in one, you should be recognized and allowed to appropriate. I think the second thing I also wanted to say was that, again, on the Africa Free Trade, is a wonderful thing that we've been able to achieve by coming together at this point. The time has come for us to open up outbound, to make outbound payments possible, not just from a bank perspective, but from the mobile financial services perspective, because the trade will largely be small tickets.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Andrew Teshiapia, founder, CEO of ZPay, Horatio Nidodu, Head Digital Immersion Payments, APSA, Benedict Rentil, Senior Manager, Enterprise Marketing and Portfolio Management at MTN, and of course, Franklin Asari, CEO of TechGov. Thank you so much for making this conversation a great one. Now, this program was brought to you by APSA Bank. They are partners for the Citi Business Festival for this year, 2023. We are also being sponsored by MTN Momo, MTN Business, as well as ZPay. And we're supported by Gerstel. Now remember, the Citi Business Festival is also powered by Citi 97.3 FM, as well as Citi TV. Thank you so much for joining us. The conversation continues tomorrow. Our on-air series continues on radio at 9 o'clock on the Citi Breakfast Show. Next week, Tuesday, we continue our conversations at TV Forum. We'll let you know the topic that we'll be having our discussion on. But thank you all for making time to join us. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.